Planning work for your project is a constant process, working from high-level plans in the early stages to more detailed plans as the project gets going. And pivoting quickly as situations change, because when does a project ever go as planned? Capacity Planner helps project managers and team leads see what's going on at all times, whether it's a project's big picture or the daily details. So here's our scenario. The resource manager at our fictional company, Lunar Industries, has staffed up for an upcoming mineral mapping project on the moon. Generic resources are in place to cover any resource gaps, and now the project manager can continue to do high-level planning. She needs to secure each required resource's time by blocking it out well ahead of the project's starting date. To create plans in Capacity Planner, you need to first have one or more Jira spaces created for your upcoming work. Here we have our space called Lunar Mineral Map, and we've already created some epics and put them on an early timeline to map out what kind of work will generally happen when. This gives us an idea of which resources we will need at what point in the project. But you don't need to create any work items to start blocking out resource time in Capacity Planner. You just need a Jira space. And let's move on to blocking out that resource time. First off, I'll go to the calendar up here to make sure that I'm in the correct time period for our project, which is the next quarter. Some resources already have time planned on other projects or have PTO in the first few weeks. And these three generic resources already have high-level plans on our Lunar Mineral Map Jira space. I want to block out the time for all the resources for the whole project's duration to reserve them for our project. This also sends a signal to the other managers that I need them during this time period. There are a few ways to do this, and I'll start with a simple way for Scott, the mining expert, which is to click on a day in his timeline. For the plan item, I'll switch to Project to create a high-level plan and select our Jira space, called Lunar Mineral Map. I've got the start date already here, so I'll enter the end date of June 30th to cover the whole duration of the project. For the plan time, I'll enter 8 hours per day to fully book Scott's time, and click Plan Time. The plan is created for Scott, showing that his time is fully booked for this whole project. Another way to plan time is to simply drag across several days on a resource's timeline, which I'll do for Lars here. This is a good method if you can easily see the whole time frame you want. Again, I'll select Project to create a high-level plan and choose the Lunar Mineral Map space. I'll plan for 8 hours a day and click Plan Time. Of course, the easiest thing to do is just copy a plan from one resource to another. I just press the Option key on the Mac or Alt key on Windows and drag Scott's plan over to Erica. And then from Erica to Eric, but starting it a bit later since he has some holidays. I'll open the plan for Eric and just change the end date to June 30th, which is the project's end, and update that. I can continue doing this for all the resources that I have here. As the project gets closer, I need to create specific Jira work items in the Lunar Mineral Map space. I already had epics, but then I added stories and tasks to those. Based on previous projects, I've added tentative start and end dates, and have made some initial original estimates for the work required. In some cases, I can even assign work items if I know who's doing the work, such as Catherine in this case, but that's not necessary to create plans. With these work items in place, I can start planning in more detail. In fact, I can actually create plans from Jira, which is handy since I'm here anyway. These plans will then appear in Capacity Planner. Lars is our only cartographer, so I can plan time on all related work items for him. I need to show the Tempo panel to create plans, so I just click the gear icon up here and select Tempo. I already have the Tempo panel here, so I'm set. I just make sure that I'm on the Work Logs and Plans tab. Then I'll go forward to the week where I want Lars to start work on this task, and click Plan Time. I'll select Lars as the resource, set the start date and end date for the plan, enter the planned time per day, and click Plan Time. A plan shows up for each day in this panel, but it will look like a single plan on his timeline in Capacity Planner. Just a note that you can also sync plans automatically with Jira work items. This means that any changes you make to the plan in Capacity Planner will automatically update the relevant fields in this JIRA work item, such as original estimate and the start and end dates. And the opposite is also true. Any changes you make to these fields is reflected in the plans in Capacity Planner. We'll cover syncing plans in more detail in another video, since it's a very powerful feature that can save you time and effort. So planning work from JIRA is great, but when you need to make plans in relation to the rest of the resources, you need better visuals, and doing this in Capacity Planner is your best bet. Back in the resource planning view, let's see where we're at. Our staffing is now in place to fill the resource gaps. We've borrowed Beverly, a mining expert, from another team, and we've hired David, a mining engineer. As well, Erica managed to finish early on her work with another project, so she's available at the beginning of our project. Now I can easily reassign plans from our 3 generic resources to these actual humans. I'll start by reassigning the plan from the TBH geologist to Erica by simply dragging it to her timeline. But I want to swap out the high-level plan for a more specific one for Erica, so I'll open the plan, switch to Issue, make sure that the Issue filter is set to the Lunar Mineral Map board, find the work item from the list here, and click Update. So we're good to go with this plan. Now let's look at how to reassign multiple plans in one shot. Our TBH mining engineer has 2 plans to cover for 2 timeframes when Vivian, our actual mining engineer, is not available. I click the Reassign Plans icon for it, and this form opens. The resource type needs to be User, and I find David, our new mining engineer. Now I can select one of these plan options: reassign plans after a specific date, reassign plans within a date period, or all plans. I'll select that one and click Apply. The plans are gone from the generic resource, and you see them on David's timeline. I can also change them to be on specific work items, like I did for Erica. But first, I'll reassign this plan from our 3rd generic resource, TBH Mining Expert. This time, I'll just click the plan, switch the resource type to User, then find Beverly in the list. While I'm here, I'll change this plan to a work item, so I switch to Issue, find the work item from the list here, and click Update. Beverly has the plan now, and is set up for this time period. I'll leave these generic resources here for possible future use, but I could also delete them if I decide that I don't need them anymore. So now I can start adding plans on specific work items for these new resources that we added. To start out, I'll customize the Issues side panel. Just click the arrow here on the right to open it up. This panel makes it quick and easy to assign plans. I click the gear icon up here to configure what's displayed in this panel. Then I click in the Add JIRA Project field and select a space to add, which is our Lunar Mineral Map space. I'll make sure that this space is in one of the top 3 spots here so that it's on a tab that I can easily access. Then I click the X up here to close this panel. And now I can see all the work items in this list. I'll just find and drag this work item and drop it on David's timeline. This creates a single-day plan that completely books his available time. I'll just close the panel here to make some room. Obviously, I need the plan to cover more days, so I'll just drag its side over to the end of this week. And note that the plan doesn't include any of the holidays that are shown in pink. One advantage of planning in Capacity Planner is that you can see a resource's calendar events. These events can sometimes take up quite a few hours, so you need to know that to make more accurate plans according to a resource's capacity. To see the calendar events, go up to the right and open Settings, then click Show Calendar Events. Most resources don't have their calendars connected, but Catherine does, so I'll just expand her timeline to see those events here at the top. The number of event hours is shown for each day. The green capacity bars here indicate only the planned hours, which is 8, but the total hours at the bottom include both the plan and the event hours, so that puts her over the limit. To fix the hours, I'll edit her planned time. I want to convert this high-level plan to be on a specific work item, so first I'll split it by pressing the Command key on the Mac or the Control key on Windows and making the break at the end of this week. She has 1 to 3 hours booked in her calendar, so the maximum hours in a plan for all of these days is 5 hours. I'll open the plan, switch to Issue, find the work item from the list here, change the plan time to 5 hours per day, and click Update. Her total hours are equal to or less than 8 per day. And I can check that she still has some available hours, so that gives a bit of wiggle room. As the project starts, I can split the plans more and adjust each one to make sure that her time is always properly booked. So I can continue splitting these long, high-level plans and then assigning specific work items to each resource at the right time, as work is picked up. I can also distribute the workload as the project goes on, such as by moving a plan from an overbooked resource to someone who has some available time, or by copying a plan to another resource to share the workload on the same work item. Capacity Planner makes it easy to see everyone's time at once, which takes the guesswork out of planning for your project.